in our midst.
Can I just say I'm a little bit humbled because I never called myself a celebrity before.
So if you go to Solihull Sunday, oh no, wrong website. Solihull Sunday School website. We've got, if you go to the Hifz section here, you've got here someone called Omar. You can see here. I don't know if you can see that very well. Maybe we need to make it big. There we go. He looks really interested, by the way. And then we've got another celebrity. You ready? I'll pick one that's not too embarrassing. Here we go. There we go. Right. So the reason I'm showing you that is because if you want afterwards to, because somebody ate a bit of my time, so if we don't have, you can follow this. If you go to the Sunday School website, we're doing lessons for these. We've been doing it for quite a while now, haven't we, on Marwan? Yeah? So, have you enjoying them? Yeah? Good, okay. I'll give you the £10 later. Yeah? What's that, sorry? Yeah, but later, I'll pay him later, yeah. So, in the time we have left, I've called it a masterclass just because I couldn't think of a better name, but it's practical. So my dad's taken words and go through the meaning. We've been trying different ways to sort of approach how you teach Arabic, yeah. But ultimately, what we want from Arabic is to understand the Quran. So rather than learning Arabic and then going to the Quran, why do we just look at the Arabic of the Quran? Very simple. And there's a really good resource for this, okay? Is that better? Okay, so you go to Quran.com, just put the word corpus in front of it. Because if you go to Quran.com, it's a different website, yeah? So you'll go to this one, which is not the right one. Yeah, you need to go to corpus at the front. And then you go to this fourth column.
The dot between corpus and...
Yeah, corpus.quran.com. And then you go to the fourth one here, called Syntactic Tree Bank, and then you just pick your surah. So we're going to do Surah An-Nas, because the Arabic of Surah An-Nas is very straightforward, if I can get to it. There we go. Corpus, yeah. Corpus. So, here we go.
Syntactic translation.
Okay, you can see that okay? Yeah? Cool. Okay. So as you can see here, the first thing to do is just to do the verbs. There's only 3 verbs in Surah An-Nas, and they're all actually quite straightforward verbs. Yeah. So you can what you can do is you can click on it, and they give you a bit of information about it. Okay. But for any verb, you've got 3 simple things. Yeah. And then 2 intermediate things, and then 2 more advanced things. Okay. The simple thing here, because what we're trying to say, what's this ayah saying from an Arabic perspective? Okay, so it starts off with the verb. Now this verb here, the simple things you can work out from the word that comes after here, which is anta. Now anta is a pronoun. One of the things with Arabic is that if we want to understand Arabic, we do need to make sure we understand English. Yeah, so do you actually know what a pronoun is? But this pronoun here there's 3 things about this which is quite straightforward. Can anyone tell me anything about anta as a pronoun? So let's make this interactive, inshallah. Yes.
It's for the male.
Good. So for male, anything else? Yeah. You jump in, but it was correct. Second person, very good. Anything else?
It replaces a noun.
It replaces a noun, very good. So that's what a pronoun does. Anything else? Yeah. What about number? Singular, very good. Okay, so we know that qul has those 3 things as well. Yeah, it's male, singular, and second person. So you're talking to the person. So Allah is telling whether this is to the Prophet ﷺ or to us as individuals. Qul, say. Yeah. The other thing is whether. So that's like the basic. The intermediate is what's the actual verb? Yeah? So we need to know what type of verb it is. In other words, what tense is it? So what tense is qul? Go on. Oh, we talked about this. It's a bossy verb. What's a bossy verb? It commands. Yeah? It commands. Can you see how the kids are quite good at this?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because you just learnt it at school, so it's fresh. So with us as adults, if we're struggling to learn Arabic, it's because we've forgotten English grammar. Yeah? So with kids, it's fresh. So qul is a command. Okay? It's a command. Now, what you'll be interested to know, these two verbs in Arabic are on the same scale. Qul and a'udhu are on the same scale. What do I mean by scale? You could say, in Arabic, all verbs are made up of 3 letters. Okay, so you go in here, it says it's made up of qa, waw and lam. Yeah? And you go to a'udhu, and it's also ayn, waw and dha. So why they're the same is because they both have a middle letter of waw. Yeah? It's called a hollow verb. Yeah? Now what happens if you wanted to check this, you would go and you would get a dictionary. But the problem is you wouldn't know what to look for because qul has only got 2 letters. So what do I say? If you try to find qul in the dictionary, you wouldn't find it. You have to know the root letters. You have to know that it's qa, waw and lam. Yeah? So one of the challenges of Arabic is knowing what's dropped. What's dropped. Now the beauty of this website, it will tell you the actual original letters. Qa, waw and lam. Why is the middle waw dropped? Well, because the waw, can you see how the waw is silent in the middle? Yeah? Because qul ends on a silent, the middle waw is dropped. Because there's a rule, you can't have 2 silent letters next to each other. It's called iltiqa' as-sakinayn. You can't have that. Okay? So you drop the middle one. So it becomes qul. Okay? But if you knew, you would have that the waw is silent. If you know the original, you know that all the hollow verbs, when they're in this command form, the middle letter drops. Okay? So if we went to Hanswehr online, which is this dictionary online, okay, this one here, and you just search for that verb. So you go qa, waw, lam, okay, it comes up qala yaqulu. Okay, so you have to know the root letters, otherwise you won't find it. The other thing you'll hear, it says qala yaqulu. Okay, yes, Omar.
Where did you get that table from? The table that you do in the lesson, like with the.
From the same website, Omar. The one that we use in the class, yeah? Yeah. So the same one. So qala yaqulu, yeah? The most common scale in the Quran is this one. The most common verb in the Quran is qala. Yeah? That's the most common verb in the Quran.
Not qaf, waw, lam, it's qaf, alif.
No, qaf, waw, lam.
Oh.
Okay? So there's a rule for why it's become a alif. I think because of time we won't go into that, yeah? But what I'm trying to show you is the verbs, as well as the 3 things we said at the beginning, male, singular, and second person, yeah? They all have 3 letters, generally speaking. And the last thing to note is the form. Now you can see here, what you'll notice in this dictionary. This is just a flavour, and we'll do it whenever we get a chance to do this. Can you see these numbers 3 and 5 and 10? Yeah. This verb is on form 1. In other words, there's no extra letters. There's no extra, because any extra letters outside of the 3 root letters adds meaning. Okay, so that's just a flavour for those verbs. Now there's another verb in Surah An-Nas. Does anyone know what it is? What's the other verb in Surah An-Nas? Waswasa. Min sharri waswasa alladhi. Let's go to it. Alladhi yuwaswisu. Not that one. I think it's number 5. Okay. Now this one is a bit different because this has 4 letters, but this is rare. This verb has 4 letters. Okay, but that one's rare. So alladhi yuwaswisu, usually it's just 3. Okay, we won't delve into that anymore. What I wanted to do as well is just explain to you what's happening with all these lines. Okay. So, one of the things that's really useful is to start to with Arabic, the tricky bits with it, and this is what I found with Umar and Rawan and my daughters, is just spotting that a word could be more than one word. Can you see here how Birabbi is 2 words? Can you see that? You wouldn't know that if you didn't have this colour. Just out of interest, just so I can see, because I don't know if people are getting really bored or find this interesting. Hands up if you knew that the B is a separate word from the Rob. Just show of hands. We did, didn't we? Yeah. Bismillah. As long as you were listening in the last lesson. Yeah. So that's one thing that you can. That's really nice with what Quran.com have done, is they've coloured it in. Okay. Now, a few things just to kind of give you like a flavour for this, because what I learnt with Umar and Rawan and the girls is teaching you like a whole bunch of things is a bit overload, and you don't really remember much of it. So what works really well with the kids is repeating over and over again. So what we've done in on the website, you can see, okay, we've done now Balad, Fajr, Ghashiyah, Ala, Mursalat, Insan and Qiyamah. Every time we do a new ayah, the same things come up. So you keep on repeating. So actually, this project was that with the kids was done to help them memorize the Quran. But as they're memorizing the Quran, we do the Arabic. So then it makes the Arabic, helps them with their hifz, and they also learn Arabic at the same time. Okay? I've tried sitting down and teaching them all the rules. I found they got very bored, and they forgot it very quickly. Yeah? So it's like an evolving experiment, this is, to see how we can teach Arabic in a way that actually people enjoy and find it useful. Okay, so let's go back to this. I'm going to give you a bit of a flavour. For this one here, you've got this P. What does P stand for, Omar? Very good, mashallah. And Rawan, what does N stand for?
Now.
Very good, mashallah. What do we say to Rawan, Omar, everybody? MashaAllah. Very good, very good. Okay, so a preposition in Arabic. What's a preposition mean in English? Go on, Dwight, you're at school. Go on.
Does it have to do with the position?
Yeah, it prepositions, kind of, it shows you the relation to it, to the next word. Good, okay. So, now the prepositions in Arabic will only ever be attached to a noun. Okay? So that's what you can see here, it's called majroor. Now, here's really something very helpful for your hifz, that a preposition in Arabic makes the next word, puts it into something called jar state. Okay? It's translated in English as genitive, but that's not important. Yeah. The most common result of that is that it puts a kasra on it. Yeah. So you don't have to memorize every single kasra if you know that what the huruf al-jar are, and that the next word is making it a kasra. So can you see, that's why learning a bit of grammar really helps your hifz. I used to, before I dived really deep in grammar, I used to go crazy with my tashkil. And my dad in the next room be like correcting tashkil with that, like, it just didn't sound right type thing, yeah? So if you just know a little bit of grammar, it'll help you do hifz. And if you can do hifz, it'll transform your relationship with the Quran. There's nothing nicer with standing up and reading a surah from hifz, okay? So, that's one thing. The other thing here, this is called Muddaf ilayh. Muddaf ilayh. In Arabic, for to indicate, like, you know, apostrophe S,
Yeah.
or the word of. In Arabic, you call it Muddaf ilayh. So, for example, بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ here is translated as of, the Lord of mankind. In Arabic, the construct you would use is called Muddaf ilayh. So you learn Muddaf ilayh. Now, I made some notes where we like explained it in a nice way and all that kind of stuff, yeah? Which you're welcome to have for free if you want them. Okay, but if you just want to keep on going over these concepts as your this is my my belief and my recommendation. Yeah? And then what seems to be working with the kids is that you memorize the Quran, and as part of memorizing the Quran, you understand the grammar of what you've memorized. It helps you memorize and it helps your Arabic. Okay, so if you go and just learn this idea called Muddaf, Muddaf ilayh, that's what happens. What you'll do is you do like a, so this is probably the most common Arabic book that's taught. It's called Ajrumiyah. Yeah, you learn this. Okay, that's really good. Okay, what do I do with that then? Yeah. Whereas if you learn Qul A'udhu Birabbin Nas, and you learn this is called Muddaf ilayh, and you understand what is Muddaf ilayh. Yeah, I didn't really understand Muddaf ilayh. I don't really know what that means. But then someone puts in simple terms. Oh, it's apostrophe s. You know, like possession. Yeah. Or it could be like of. So Birabbin Nas. Yeah. The Lord of the people. Yeah. So like of, an easy translation is just to say of. Keep it simple, of. So you can see here that that's how it works. So you're saying a'udhu. Now the other thing the other thing to mention here is this thing called muta'alliq. So a preposition will be attached. So that's what muta'alliq means, to a verb. So what's this preposition attached to? It's attached to a'udhu. Yeah? A'udhu. So you'll find that any preposition will be attached to a noun and it will be muta'alliq to a verb. The verb could be there or it could be hidden. I'll give you one that's hidden. Very famous one. Go on, someone saying it? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay? Can you see how it's got muta'alliq and it's got a verb that's hidden?
No.
The V here, can you see it? It's in grey. It says V. What does V stand for, Rowan?
Verb.
Verb, very good. Okay, so verb, not vegan. Nusayba thought it was vegan when she first saw it. Okay, bless her. So verb, because it's green. It's usually green. So what's the hidden verb here? Everyone want to have a go. What do you think the hidden verb is in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim? Huh? Good. Good. Yes.
No, I don't take credit. I think someone there.
Someone said it, yeah. So like abda'u. Abda'u, I begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So every preposition will be attached to a verb, hidden or apparent. Every preposition will be before a noun. So here the noun is ism. Okay? Let's go back to Surah An-Nas. How are people finding this, by the way? Yeah? Is it useful? So, the other thing here, so we've covered preposition, jar majroor, we've covered mudaf, mudaf ilayh. There's a word here called fa'il. Fa'il. Does anyone know what fa'il is in Arabic? In English, sorry. Subject. Does anyone know what subject is in English? What is a subject? No. Look at the kids, man. Yeah? It's the kids who know all. It's something who what?
That does the verb.
Does the verb. What's the most common question I ask Rowan and Omar in class? This pronoun, is it?
Subject, object, or pronoun.
Or?
Subject, object, or
Possessive. Huh?
possessive.
Possessive. Very good. Okay, so that's pronouns. So there isn't really any pronouns in Surah An-Nas. Pronoun gets a bit tricky. Pronouns in Arabic are a bit tricky. So pronouns, the pronoun here is hidden. Hidden. Just to make it interesting for you, in Arabic you can have like a pronoun that's hidden. Because in Arabic is a VSO language. Verb, subject, object. Okay? In English it's SVO, yeah? Bob hit Roger, yeah? Object. In Arabic you would say hit Bob Roger. Okay? So here you can see here that the subject comes straight after the a'udhu. So it's hidden. You have to like imagine it. Okay? So say I seek refuge, and then the subject is hidden, and then you have this muta'alliq to the verb. Okay? And all of this, now what does this VS mean? What it's saying is all of this is a verbal sentence which is the object of qul. Yeah? It's fun, isn't it? That is liking it. Okay? So, what's that, sorry? The subject is the hidden here. Okay? So, all of this here is the object of qul. And that's you have now done the verb of ayah number 1 of Surah An-Nas. Okay? Look, if you know what these symbols mean, you can kind of work out what's going on. Yeah, if you know this is pronoun, verb, etc. What you might struggle with is these words here in Arabic. Once you know them the first time, you know what it is, then when you do the next ayah, you've just got the same. Okay? In fact, this next ayah is easier. I won't do all of it, but you can see it Muddaf ilayh. Malik al-Nas is a Muddaf ilayh construct. Ilah al-Nas is a Muddaf ilayh construct. We've got a new concept here called badal. Badal, yeah? And this is the last thing that I'll do, inshallah. So badal, it's difficult to translate, but badal basically, there isn't like a direct translation. Where's that book then? Okay, so you get these translations. So apposition is the translation my teacher gave. Basically, badal means that, you know, you've got this word here. You could also use this one instead, and it would be the same thing. So Rabb al-Nas, Rabb al-Nas, or you could say Malik al-Nas. They're both referring to Allah. That's what badal is. And then Ilah al-Nas is the same thing. So again, here you've got a new concept that you would learn called badal. Yeah. Now I worked this out. You only need to learn about 14, 15 concepts, okay, of words, and you've got about 90% of the Quran. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that will come up, but they're rare. They're rare. So we were doing Surah Al-Qiyamah. And this is if you go home and you start to kind of go into this, just to prepare that you will find. So I'll get like conjunction, very common, yeah? But, well, you know what? Maybe there's a reason why I can't find any examples, because maybe you shouldn't worry yourself with that. But if you do Surah An-Nas, there aren't any difficult concepts in Surah An-Nas. Okay, so that's. I wanted to give you a flavour. I don't know if this is something that people. I don't know where people are with this sort of thing, because I think the take-up rates for Arabic courses are very low. And I just believe something needs to be done with that. And I think with the next generation, we can try and change the way that some of these things are taught and interlink it with hifz. Yeah? And for you as adults, these resources are available.
Not all of us.
What's that, sorry?
Not all of us adults.
So if you want to follow on the Solihull Sunday School website as we go through the surahs, each video is only 10 minutes long. The idea is we keep them very short, and to get the kids into a habit, a daily habit, or weekly habit, or however much you can, of hifz. But as part of the hifz, we do the Arabic, so that it makes it more enjoyable as well. Okay, and you're welcome to follow on in these. And if there's interest to do more of what I just did now, then inshallah we can do it. Any feedback before we wrap up? Anyone want to give any feedback? Yeah.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Obviously, you know this stuff probably.
No, interesting, because as an observation, my wife is professional Arabic teacher.
Oh, mashallah, okay.
When you pray Jama'ah, very rarely she corrects me, but anyway, when she does, when I read, she corrects me with the harakat.
Yeah.
Then I asked her then, do you remember this surah? She said no, but because of the harakat, she's guessing that it is wrong. She's sitting there, but she's very anyway.
So you probably can teach us. The definition of grammar in Arabic is علم بعصول يعرف أحوال أواخر الكلم. Okay, it's the science of knowing what's the thing you do to the last letter. Yeah, And it's really helpful for hifz. If you want to memorize Quran, if you don't know any grammar, it's really hard. Okay, you have to literally learn everything.
Really interesting, Marwan. Really
Okay.
enjoyed that.
Very interesting.